news and information from a higher perspective. Your host, Harry Wilkinson.
Yes, hello. This is your host, Harry Wilkinson, and I welcome you to the Spirit and Wellness Show. This is the show where we take a look at the days and weeks events, happenings in the world of politics, international news, sports, sometimes, although not often, I will admit. Doesn't often come up on the show, but we have had on occasion opportunities to talk about sports. But in any case, anything that we interact with through our from a higher perspective. And from a higher perspective, I am talking about an approach that is, you can call it spiritual or metaphysical, or perhaps just a different way of thinking about things. My approach is to take that step back and look at the world, look at the things that are going on in a way that may be more healthful in dealing with situations. And by that I mean an understanding that what is going on isn't the reality of who and what we are. They are perhaps reflections, perhaps muddled or twisted images, but they do not represent the truth of who we are. And that indeed, from the metaphysical perspective, we have actually created this world of seeming illusions as a sort of, in a way, you can think of it as a playground, or more a place to explore and experience that which is not who we are. Because at our highest level, we are divine mind. We are one. We are connected. We are not separate. But in this illusion, the belief of separation, the belief that we are separate, the belief that we are different, and that we are not only different, but weak and vulnerable in ways, that is part of the, and again, I don't like to really use the game analogy because it seems rather frivolous, but it does work. It's an illusion that we've created to experience these things. And there are certain rules in which, we play by when we are, involved in this, at this level. But to have that understanding, to even have the beginning of that awareness that we are creating it all, and that we are more than our physical bodies, if you will. To have that understanding, to have that perspective, is something that can be very healthy in dealing with things that might otherwise make us very stressed and very toxic. And of course, this is something that may be helpful to what we're experiencing right now in the news. Of course, is a large focus on two hurricanes. One was Hurricane Harvey, that was last weekend when we were off, but the effects of Hurricane Harvey on Texas, and then now we are dealing with Irma, who has seems to be stronger and has more of an effect on a lot more areas, including the Caribbean, including the Virgin Islands, including Cuba, and here in the States, Florida, who are bracing for the impact of this storm. So it's interesting to understand that the experiences that we are having as a result of these storms are remarkable, and I always talk about events that sort of galvanize our attention on a broad scale, being very significant in the fact that we've created them for a reason. And the people that we are seeing, the people who are heroes, the people who have been rescued, or the people who have passed away because of these storms, they are beings that have stepped forward to do this, to help us understand the meaning of our oneness, I think, and how that shines through in situations like these. And it's been remarked upon, over and over again, even as our media likes to dwell on the fear and the devastation. It still is remarked upon how much people have come together and to focus their energies on helping and healing in this situation. And that is the truth in many ways. And I've heard commentators and pundits and assorted comedians and what have you talking about, well, why does everybody always say we send our thoughts and prayers? Well, just send money. Just send the money. And absolutely, by all means, if you happen to be able to do that, if you happen to be able to contribute, I would encourage you to do so. There are many, many good charities that you can donate that are helping out in this storm, in this situation. And coming up on Tuesday, there's going to be a mass sort of telethon or event on Tuesday night, which will be airing on all of the networks. And this will be a good place for you to call in and donate anything that you would like to do. And of course, the news stations and your local newspapers and your local radio stations all have information about where you can donate if you want to donate to help in this situation. I'm not opposed to that at all, of course. But let's think about this instead of trashing the idea of sending prayer and thoughts. While, of course, access to goods and money is important, the act of prayer, the thoughts that are sent, the energy that sends to those people takes place immediately. And this is not religious belief, because I'm not a religious person anyway. I am a spiritual person. But this isn't some kind of airy-fairy belief. This is science, okay? This is research that's been done that has shown that thoughts sent to people, prayers sent to people, help and have an instantaneous effect. It's science. It's not gobbledygook. Okay? There's research that has continued to be done on it. The most powerful thing in the world that you can do to help people is to do that. Visualize these people emerging from this crisis healthy and happy. Visualizing them, in new and better circumstances. Visualize them happy and rewarded. That has instantaneous effect. Money takes a long time to get to people. Goods takes a long time to get to people. Prayers and thoughts are instantaneous and they are powerful. So I just get a little bit tired of hearing people who don't understand what they're talking about when it comes to thoughts and prayers. Because they hear the evangelical preachers going on and on and on. And yes, there's a hypocrisy in which you see these preachers, they're asking for money and they're getting millions of dollars and they're driving around in limousines and they have these huge palaces. And, that's not what we're talking about, okay? Yes, there's hypocrisy there and good for you for calling them out on it. But there's a truth here that we cannot let that kind of behavior obscure. And we cannot let the cynicism that it provokes in other people obscure it either. Sorry, I'm starting to sound a little bit like a fiery preacher, and I don't usually do that, but sometimes it just the foolishness, the whole missing the point entirely just gets to me sometimes. Okay, let's move on. Because today we're going to talk about thought and how it affects ourselves and others. And we're going to talk about joy. Because to be in a joyous frame of mind is a frame of mind in which you can be at your most relaxed, at your best, and have the most ability to heal and we've been looking at mind over medicine techniques, and a couple of authors, Dr. Alyssa Rankin and of course our favorite Dr. Weil, have a lot to say in this area and a lot of research to share that shows just how powerful the mind is, and that it may be more powerful even than the things that are promoted by your traditional health providers. When you're dealing with health issues, of course, eating well, the right kind of diet, exercise, all of that kind of stuff, which is always talked about. However, there's research that suggests that, even all of those good things, and they are good, of course, avoiding too much processed food, red meat, all of those kinds of things, can have positive effects, but they may not be the entire story. And why do we know this? Well, we know that there are people who live these very healthy lifestyles and are very health conscious and aware and do all of those things that are suggested. They use well-tested supplements and vitamins, and they take care of themselves, and yet they are still ill, still not well, chronically so.